Today, obviously time permitting, we're going to have quite a high level overview of some of the things that Viva Energy are most definitely looking at as such, and we'll work through that. So again, if there's any other questions or a bit of a deep dive required, we're happy to have a bit of a further chat down at our booth. I think it's G11 is where we're at. But today we'll sort of fill the gaps. You would have heard a lot around electrification, particularly in this industry sector. But there's also other opportunities in terms of transitional fuels that we'll touch on today. So let's get started, I suppose. For those who don't know who Viva Energy are, well, actually coming up to 10 years, we used to be Shell Australia, and they divested their downstream assets. And out of that, essentially, Viva Energy was born. A major shareholder there was Vitol, a global independent oil trader at that stage. Subsequently, we were listed on the ASX and remain a large cornerstone player in the liquid fuels markets, supplying about 25% of the market in Australia. Lots of nice key points up there, but I'll just throw to a couple that we've got. Three major areas within Viva Energy. The convenience and mobility section, or previously known as the retailer part. So the Shell service stations that we all see in around Australia, about 1,300 of them, essentially fall under Viva Energy's remit from an operations perspective, and obviously supplying fuels to those Shell. So a very strong link with Shell still. We license the brand there, and it's obviously a recognisable brand across Australia. The commercial industrial business, which is our B2B business, where carbon solutions fit in. Essentially that services all our marketing, different divisions. So mining, aviation, marine, on-road transport, off-highway applications, polypropylene, solvents, bitumens, and pretty much the full hydrocarbon range of products from the refining. We very much have a strong presence in terms of that B2B. Carbon solutions fits in there, which is what the team I head up is really principally looking at their decarbonisation part of our clients. And you'll see why in a second, why that's an important part. Energy and infrastructure fuels our terminal. We're one of two remaining refineries in Australia. Our refinery is down at Geelong in Victoria. Play a significant part in terms of fuel security, sovereign risks, and obviously a shrinking refining capability in Australia. So a key asset there, and very much one that we need to use for our decarbonisation. And then our terminals of supply and import terminals around Australia to feed conventional hydrocarbons to the market. As we move along here, you can see we're pretty much a critical part of the decarbonisation of our customers. Those who know about Scope 1, Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions, it will probably resonate with this slide, but if you don't, then essentially if you look at our carbon footprint around Scope 1, 2 and 3, we're only a little small percentage of 3% around our refining and electricity, Scope 1 and Scope 2. But by far there you see the 83% is essentially a huge part of our customers' Scope 1 emissions. So if you look around our platform there, particularly in mining, diesel consumption is a huge part there, power generation, but even the transport arms in terms of locomotives and train, which the previous speaker just heard about, transporting in terms of road transporting, but it's just the auxiliary products around shipping commodities overseas, but also the FIFO market in terms of moving workforce. Each part of that supply chain, be it Scope 1s or Scope 3s of our customers, we play a significant part of their carbon footprint, and hence there's a major focus of us to work through that and help our customers decarbonise. This is really the crux of the presentation as such. So we utilise decarbonisation as a stepping stone, so a bit of a phased transition approach when you look at enabling the zero emissions of the future, what we call on the future horizons on the right-hand circle, whilst enabling the conventional hydrocarbon pathways and substituting those with even drop-in fuel alternatives, and we call those today solutions. So we've got to maintain energy supply lines for conventional hydrocarbons and look at obviously our phased and a managed and well transition plan as we look to jump to those zero emission future energy sources such as clean electrification and obviously green hydrogen as well. So having a look on the left-hand side as such, and you can probably understand the complexity that we have. We've got all different market sectors, but on mining, and we'll sort of stick to that common theme considering the conference here. But if you look at the left-hand side there, in terms of the different bullet points around there, if we start sort of all the way down at sort of 6 o'clock, you're looking at sustainable aviation fuels and more importantly around carbon offsetted products. So we understand that offsetting is not a purpose for everyone. It's a voluntary market as well, but it's an important start in terms of offering carbon neutral or opting carbon neutral fuels, which is essentially looking at utilising ACCU products or ACCU carbon credits to help offset those. Now, we always ask our customers to finish at that point. We rather look at them generally reducing their emissions, either avoiding and eliminating or reducing their energy sources, but we still see it as a vital part of the decarbonisation journey. As we move around up to about 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock is our drop-in alternative fuels. Predominantly renewable diesel is where we see the transition fuel for the mining sector. Renewable diesel itself is essentially a true drop-in solution for existing equipment, utilising existing supply chains with a significant emission savings in terms of based on a life cycle analysis. And as a bit of a slide, we'll go through that and I want to focus on that coming up. Biofuels or biodiesel, this is different to renewable diesels. This is what we've referred to as FAME or fatty acid methyl ester biodiesels. This is a thing that we've had in Australia for a significant amount of time, over 10 years plus. It's a blended component in conventional diesel. We still see it a fit for purpose application, but there's a lot of OEMs out here in the exhibition centre, but globally, who put restrictions around how much blend of this type of FAME biodiesel you can bring into the marketplace. As we move along up to about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock or so, we see the premium addivated diesels. So these are, again, these are addivated conventional diesels that look at fuel consumption or how they promote better efficiencies in terms of fuel injection efficiencies and drive carbon savings from essentially the consumption or fuel efficiency of equipment as such. So that's a drop-in solution now available. It'll get you some small benefits, maybe 2%, 3%. There are other claims out there, higher percentages, but we see that more reliably around that low percentage sort of savings. So it's, again, quick cherry picking of opportunities as mining companies can look to decarbonise, or those equipment providers who are out in the marketplace can look at these type of fuels. Moving around, I won't cover everything on the left-hand side today, but EV charging infrastructure is very much one we're promoting. Again, aiding our customers in terms of how they look to utilise their electrification equipment of the future, how they look around charging, modularised charging, and also infrastructure in place, and mapping that, more importantly, how you actually manage the conventional hydrocarbons through to obviously electrification in this place. I'll stop there. Obviously, SAF is more around aviation, so we don't have to really talk about that, but more important around the FIFO market for those miners who are looking to obviously move their workforce across the geographic regions across Australia. Moving on the right-hand side, we call it Future Horizons because these are emerging technologies which may be available already, but maybe not commercially available for every application, or maybe not scaled up in terms of it's getting market penetration in terms of it being either a commercial model that's available and makes sense in terms of CapEx investment, or there's not scale yet in terms of these type of processes. So again, if we start at, let's start down the bottom at 6 o'clock, waste and circular economy. We've, again, one of two remaining refineries in Australia. That's equipment and processing capabilities that we've already got there. So we're looking to now co-process through those refineries. So waste and co-processing is sort of arm in arm in this schematic. So what we're trying to do is displace crude through that refinery and put low carbon feedstocks in there. So there's a great example we've done around taking waste packaging or plastics is stripping or extracting the hydrocarbons out of those waste streams and then repurposing that through to the refinery and plumbing it into the refinery to produce low carbon feedstocks for other things such as polypropylene, which goes into the manufacturing of plastics or food wrapping wrappers and the like in terms of those sort of scenarios. So a very big collaboration process there. That's been successful. If you jump on the Viva Energy website, you'll see the case study there. It was done for a Kit Kat wrapper with Nestle as such. Same type of principles can be done for low carbon fuels. So taking waste streams such as used cooking oil, potentially tallow, potentially Thai-derived pyrolysis oils and the like, and plumbing those into the refinery, existing kit, and coming out with a low carbon liquid fuel which has a significant emission saving over conventional fuel. So again, a transitional fuel without actually changing and investing in terms of local manufacturing or a greenfield site. We've got this great kit called the refinery to actually plumb. Naturally, there are restrictions on how much you can actually look at co-processing through that facility. But at the moment, co-processing is only around about 5% of the actual capabilities around refining. So it's not a be-all and end-all solution, but it's very much a start in terms of helping our customers decarbonise. Hydrogen EV, this is really exciting for us. We're just about near completion of the first public refuelling station in the country. So this will be a service station, what we call a new energy service station, which will have at pump conventional diesel. It will have gaseous hydrogen, like low pressure, high pressure hydrogen. It'll have ultra fast charging in terms of heavy duty equipment charging, all underneath the one canopy. So a really exciting piece. It's the first one in Australia. It's a 2 megawatt hydrogen electrolyser, which will produce about 1,000 kilos of hydrogen a day, green hydrogen, available to the public. So like anyone that you currently drive your petroleum car, your P or diesel, you'll drive into a service station, same type of experience you'll have now driving a hydrogen refuelling car or heavy duty transport truck in there. At the same time, be able to actually charge your heavy duty car vehicle as well via electrification and green energy. So a very big concept. That's a joint collaboration done under ARENA. So we have our customers, Toll, CDC, which is buses. We have Cleanaway, which is refuge, circular collection, and also we have Barwon Water, our partner in that facility, to bring along some hydrogen plants. Why is that important? It's a refuelling facility, not typically in mining, but it's all the benchmarkings, developing of the standards, working through in terms of looking at how you actually bring that ecosystem together for the future energy streams. Because we know that mining might go electrification, they might drive a hybrid type of situation, but we've got to actually develop the standards, and that's very much what we're doing there at that facility. So you'll see that come hopefully open in Q1 2025. I encourage you to go down if you're in Victoria. It's down at Geelong near our refinery, or it's on the refinery land there, to see a bit of a scope of what the future is, and you'll hear more about that obviously as we come online. Moving through, we see transitional to drop-in fuels around e-fuels or powered liquid fuels coming on board. So this is the next generation of fuels, and we're investing in terms of what that R&D and technology is, and also some manufacturing capabilities, hopefully here in Australia in the near future. But we acknowledge that it's going to take time as well. So as Viva, we've got to manage the transition in a logical and I suppose considered approach, managing the existing hydrocarbons that we do today, and obviously plumbing those in with transitional fuels, be it those renewable drop-in fuels or fuels in terms of green energy fuels of the future. I won't touch too much on low carbon biomethane or ultra low sulphur gasoline, considering we've got some time restrictions today. But hopefully that sort of gives you a bit of a flavour in terms of we've got transitional fuels now, which are available, but also planning in terms of obviously greens, low emission or zero emission technologies in the future. One I just want to touch on around today is decarbonising with renewable diesel. Bit hard to read up there for those down the back, so apologies for that. But essentially what we sort of see renewable diesel has been a true drop-in alternative fuel for the future and for now. The reason is that this is a fuel that looks very similarly in terms of chemically to conventional diesel. It's no changes in terms of typically your equipment requirements. There's no change to your hydrocarbon storage requirements, so your tanks and the like. There's no filtration requirements. And more importantly, OEMs have approved this typically from a 1% blend right through to being used in neat. So why is this, I suppose, really important? You'll hear this, and even if you Google HVO or renewable diesel, you'll see that, that the carbon emissions are around 80 to 90% or even higher in terms of CO2. But that's not tailpipe emissions, and that's the misconception around this. It's actual life cycle emissions. So you're looking at the carbon intensity from exploration through to combustion of conventional crude, and then you're looking at renewable diesel and the carbon intensity to manufacture those type of fuels. And the real major difference is looking at the feedstocks and how these are managed from. So these fuels typically that we source and most definitely look at bringing into the market, which we already have, is from second generation. So these are from feedstocks such as used cooking oil, animal fats, tallow. You're looking at potentially other waste streams as well, municipal waste of the future. So repurposing those waste streams to make a conventional looking diesel that can be dropped in, but has a very much a lower significant carbon footprint on those emissions. For those companies who are looking to obviously part of their commitments under safeguard mechanism or do NGERS reporting as such, this is very much a approved pathway now by the Clean Energy Regulator, so those who are reporting as a genuine Scope 1 emissions reduction. So it is a fuel that's recognised and can be claimed against companies' Scope 1 emissions. Yeah, so this is why it's such an important transition fuel till we get to the electrification and the hydrogen and the low emissions or zero emission technologies of the future. So the short to medium interim stage here is very critical in terms of actually utilising our existing assets that we currently have and mostly bringing these low carbon fuels to market. How we store them, how we distribute them, how we actually bring them to market is exactly the same as conventional diesel. So there's no change, and more importantly, from our customers' perspective, it's utilising the existing assets they currently have. So we know in the mining sector, asset life is 10, 15, 20 years, depending on type of equipment. So those procurement decisions have been made today with a conventional diesel drivetrain. We'll still be able to migrate to those type of fuels of the future, and particularly renewable diesel will be a case in point there. As we go through, there's some other potential products, benefits around this, particularly around long storage life that can be stored up to 3 to 5 years beyond typically, where conventional diesels, we recommend good housekeeping around 12 months or so. So some net benefits there. There is some tailpipe emission benefits around particulate matter or soot or unburnt hydrocarbons, NOx or nitrogen oxides, and also CO2 or carbon monoxide in particular. So some net benefits around that. But right now, these are evolving fuels in the future, but it's something that we've imported on the eastern seaboard and obviously look to expand that on the western seaboard as well into the country. So a very exciting drop-in fuel for our customers and very much one that is very low impact and low transition and no capex costs in terms of changing equipment, either the physical mobile equipment or storage equipment on our customers' mining operations. We won't go through this today. If we had a bit of time, I would, but that's about it. I'm time up, so there's a lot to absorb there, but if there's anything that's flagged your interest, please come down and see us as a team there at Viva Energy Stand. We're happy to talk to you about renewable diesel or hydrogen or electrification or co-processing or the myriad of other pathways that we're investigating in this complex world. So thanks for having me today.